Well, hello, hello, hello. God bless you. So thankful that to see you on today. We're not going to be on here long. I know it seems as though I always say that, and I don't always achieve it. But that is our goal for today. And so that means that we have a way. Hmm, yeah. That means that we have to get on it. That we have to get on it. So what we are going to do is get our PSA started right now while we're waiting for you to come in. Okay. I think I have that thing on correctly. Um, we are yet in the throes of Thanos. And um, as soon as we think that we've got something under control and that it is going to um, simmer down and all of those things, here we come with another variant, another variation. That is the word that I am going to use because I am trying, as I always say, not to get caught. And so from now on, it will be variations. And so hmm, I am going to say to you that the best thing you've got going for, that we have going for us, is this mask, besides fasting. And it is very interesting to me that both of them, the definition for fasting is to cover the mouth. It is to cover the mouth. And so then, and we know we should see some kind of correlation, some kind of correlation in the fact that for the past 3 years, somewhere about there, we have been um, asked, we have been asked to cover our mouths, to cover our nose, to cover to cover our aerodigestive tract. And I don't, it's such an uproar. It is such an uproar now about wearing a mask. And I heard someone the other day, they were being interviewed and they were talking about they're so over with this Thanos. And and I thought that's a cute little catchy phrase that you got from someone else, because I heard someone else use that term, that they were so over this plague. But you know what? Can I be a little transparent and a little bit myself? I think that that is such a selfish and such a disrespectful statement. And I think it's such a selfish and disrespectful statement. Now, remember, this is my opinion. And as we have so as we have, so I don't want to use the word blatantly, but you know the theme the theme for the last couple of years is that that is freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want to say. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. And so I think it's my opinion, as I exercise my freedom of speech, is that it is a disrespectful statement and that it is a selfish statement. And so you would ask me the question, why is that? It is because we have millions of people that have died worldwide, more than that. Now, I'm not good at numbers, so you all fact check me if you want to. I have no idea. I'm just throwing out a number. Uh, but we have people that have died. We have families. We have whole families that have given their life during these past 2, almost 3 years. And we have people right now lying in the hospital or somewhere at home. We have people in the hospital. I have had so many people call me, and they're not allowed to talk to the doctor. They're to find out what kind of treatment they're getting, how they're doing, any of this kind of thing. They can't even come in the hospital to see them. So then we have people now that are lying in the hospital with not a loved one, not anyone, a loved one, a family member, a friend to hold their hand, to care for them or pray for them. And then there are those that are walking around, yet with their health and strength, they have not yet been touched by this Thanos. And then we're saying such flippant things as, I'm so over this. And it's disrespectful and whatever. Now, maybe you may not feel that way, and of course you have your right to say so. You most certainly do have your right to say so. So while I am venting, thank you, Miss Pitts, for coming in. Thank you, Annette. Thank you so much. Thank you all for sharing. Hey, Gloria. I call her Gloria every time because that's my girlfriend. Thank you, Cousin Bobby. Thank you for joining us. Let me see. Yeah, I do have a beef with the mask. They bother my sinuses so bad, but I put them on for the rest of my health protection. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you so much. And you know what? I have a beef with it too. I find difficulty breathing sometimes, and it breaks my face out. It breaks my face out. So I understand all of that, and but you know what? It saves lives. It's science, and it saves lives. Hey, Brandy. Hey, my dear. Good morning, Miss Wiley. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. Okay, like and share. If you all would like and share for me, I would greatly appreciate it. So then we're talking about the Farron cleavage. Now I want to read you all some science. Introduce you all to some science. Whether you know it or not, you're familiar with the Farron cleavage. Let me see. Let me pull up my research here. Okay. Farron cleavage site is key to, and I'm going to use our nickname for this entity, and it is Thanos or Thanatos. Either one will work. It's two names for the same thing. And so it says furin cleavage site is key to Thanos or Thanatos pathogenesis. And so it says deletion of the furin cleavage site for Thanos amplifies replication in particular cells. I'm not going to try to be real technical and whatever, so I'll some things I'll just kind of breeze over, because then if I don't, I'll have to give definitions and all of that and probably get sidetracked. So it's talking about the furin cleavage is involved in replication. It's involved in the replication of Thanos in the respiratory cells. It's talking about the pathogenesis of this entity, and the furin cleavage actually in all of its pathways in the body. And so let's see what else it says here. We demonstrate the importance of this insertion to Thanos replication and pathogenesis. In addition, the findings with viral cells indicate the likelihood of cell culture at, well, okay, so we're getting just a little bit too technical there. Let me see if I can find, I had one particular statement that I wanted to have here. Where they would, well, bottom line is the furin cleavage. The furin cleavage is involved in the entrance to or entrance of the cell, and then the replication of Thanos in the body. And so then they're looking for ways to inhibit the functionality of all of those pathogenesis, those pathways and everything that occurs with that furin cleavage. Now, we've talked about that furin cleavage a couple of times. And the word cleavage ought to be a clue for you. Because if you remember that, well, I'll come back to it. I'm just going to say cleavage a couple of times and see if you can think, that sounds familiar, and when did we talk about that? But I've been reading about inhibitors, and I've been reading about plant inhibitors. And one of the 99.9.8% of the time, the only thing that I've been able to, and it's normal. I have come year after year after year. It happened with Ebola. It happened with HIV, whichever one came first. It happened with SARS. It just happened across the board that when they start talking about things that will inhibit Thanos, then they only talk about drugs. But I've said this before, and I'm going to remind you, those that have not heard me say it. When Ebola became, was the news item of the century, I have a letter and I was looking for it. So today is Friday. By Monday, I'm going to have this report. Because this report, I found it on the internet when I was doing research. And because, this thing about the statement that they kept making that there is no cure and there is no something else they were saying. But in other words, we don't have anything, for this Ebola. And that was kind of irritating me, because the Bible says that The Bible says that every, let me see, let me get it right. That's why I hesitated, because I want to get the statement right. It says that every, in other words, I'm going to paraphrase just a little bit. For everything that occurs, there is a cause. And the reason I can't get that statement right is because I know I have it backwards somewhere. Somewhere I've got that twisted a little bit. But what the scripture means is that everything has a cause. And so, if it has a cause, it has a cure. Now that's me. Because if you get rid of the cause, that's the cure. If I'm hitting you over the head with a hand, no. If you have a migraine headache and I'm hitting you over the head with a hammer, then your migraine headache will leave when somebody comes along and snatches that hammer out of my hand and gives me a smackdown. Because I'm hitting you over the head with that hammer. And so, because the cause of the migraine headache in this instance is the hammer that's in my hand that is hitting you over the head. And so then when the hammer is removed and I am handled, then your migraine headache, it can subside. And whatever cure you now, you know the cause, you have alleviated the cause, and now you can go about the business of the cure, reversing the damage that was done to the head by the hammer. And it's the same thing with any disease, any infection, any malady, any of that. It is the same thing. If you find the cause, eliminate the cause, then you will have a cure. And then if you're wise enough to use that cure, then you have protection from whatever caused that dis-ease to and in the body. And so then, I haven't forgotten the fair and cleavage, have not forgotten it. And have not forgotten that I was talking about Ebola. You all thought that I lost myself, didn't you? So then I have to, so all that you all will know. Sometimes it sounds like, I've gone way off in left field. But I have to talk about other things that have similar occurrences in order to get you to understand what's going on now, because if I come out and talk about these things, then they're going to shut down the videos. They're going to take them off, and then they're going to put me in Facebook prison. They'll put me in jail. So I think I've already got a warning about content. I have. I don't know if somebody reported me or what, but I did get a warning. At least I kind of saw one a week or two ago about content, video content. But I'm going to do this as long as the Lord allows it. And so then when Ebola, I was really doing a lot of research with Ebola, because I knew that somebody was lying. I knew there was a cure. I knew it. And as I was researching and on this wonderful web and all of that, when access to information was a whole lot easier back then, I want to say, no, 2005. No, that wasn't 2005. That was the other thing that we had back in 2005. But they're all family members. These last things that we have had, they're all family members. They're cousins. And so, who was it? The American Cancer Society, I think it was, association. So it was one of the National Cancer Association, Society, whatever it is. Monday I'm going to have that research paper for you. I'm going to have the letter from the research scientist that was sent to the cancer whether it was the American Cancer Society or whoever it is, I'm going to go through my papers and find that report, and I'm going to read it for you Monday. Because this was the report. The scientists had been paid or commissioned by the Cancer Association, Society, whichever one of those entities it was, to research Ebola. I'm not really sure, and I don't know if Ebola would be characterized as under cancer. But I know that it was a cancer, because I was very surprised and very shocked that this cancer organization, national organization, was having research done. And this gentleman found, the letter that he wrote stated that he had found a substance that inhibited the attachment of the cell, the viral cell, that it inhibited the attachment and entry of this entity. And so I said, okay, what is this substance? And so he went on to talk about the substance, and he said that it was a natural substance, meaning it was not a chemical, meaning it was not something that was man-made that came out of the lab. And he kept saying that it was a natural substance that was wherever he found it and blah, 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 da, da, da. And so I said, well, okay, God, I need you to help me find what this natural substance is. Before they take this natural substance and turn it into a chemical. Because you can't make thousands and hundreds of thousands over a plant substance. You just can't do it. They have not yet, even though they're working on it, they have not yet made that possible. But you can do it if it is a drug, or it is a non-organic chemical. And so what America does is we find substances, natural substances in the wild, and then we take them and we remove the active ingredients. We remove the active ingredients, and we leave components. We leave nutritional components in that plant chemical, organic chemical, and then we work it until we get it into whatever state we want it to be in, and then we put it on the market and we sell it for big bucks. And so this is what I said, okay, I've got to find out what this natural ingredient is. And as I began to study and dig and looked at the research over in the area where he, said that he had found this natural plant substance that inhibited the attachment and the entrance into the cell membrane, preventing the infection of the Ebola. And so I dug until I found it. And it was spirulina. And so I began to study natural inhibitors, those things that attach to the receptor, locking that receptor down and preventing the entrance of that entity. And so then the receptors And there's a couple of receptors. I think one is C8 and C4, and you all know it probably more than I do because you hear it. In the beginning, you heard it all the time, and that was the receptors for HIV. And so then they found that one of the natural products or ingredients that worked with HIV was selenium. Selenium foods that are high in selenium. And they've done study and research, and I know you know, I haven't heard anything about it. Only reason I know is because I've done the research. And that is because that HIV depletes the body of selenium. When it goes in, it depletes the body of selenium, just like this entity today. When it goes in, it destroys, it begins to attack and destroy the T cells of the immune system. And because it is the T cells of the immune system that will totally annihilate, and the pathogenesis of this entity today, the T cells of the immune system will totally annihilate. It totally annihilates every pathway, all of the strategies. It doesn't matter which variation, because variations will come. Every time there is a mitosis, cell division takes place in a new body. If that new body has a cold, has pneumonia, has the flu, then that mitosis is going to produce the reassembly, the re-replication of that entity is going to include that flu, that whatever that entity is. It is now going to become a part of that genetic nature. So when you catch the one, you will catch them all, because they have all become a part of that Thanos. And so that, I hope I'm making sense. I'm looking here, it's 11:31. And so since I was 4 minutes late coming on, I think I'm going to take about 3 minutes to help you. And if you have any questions, please, if I'm not making sense or if I'm rambling to you, please say so. Please say so. And I want you all to, hello, Apostle, my Apostle, thank you. Hello, Arceli. Well, I haven't seen you for a while. Thank you, dear, for coming on. And Wasco Lask, did I say that correctly? Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for joining. And so then, the answer to protection, the answer to protection, the answer to prevention is knowing the receptors, and then know what the inhibitors are. The inhibitors, those things that inhibit the entryway to the receptor, and knowing those things that will prevent the protection or the inhibition of that entity. So let me make that, I'm not sure if I messed that up or not. You've got the cell, you have the receptor on the cell, you have the entity that has the key to unlock and enter into the receptor, and then you have those things that will cover that receptor and prevent that entity from being able to either put its key in and unlock, or even absorb right into. So then let's say we pour water on a sponge. You pour water on the sponge, you know that water is going to absorb right down into that sponge. Well, those are the two ways that these entities enter the cell receptor. And so one is they have a key. The other one is, so we have two kinds of entities. Um, and so one has the ability to absorb right through the cell membrane. The other one has a key that unlocks that receptor. And the thing that the inhibitor covers and surrounds the cell like the placenta for the baby, and it prevents, and like the placenta covers the baby, making sure that the blood of the mother or the chemicals in the mother's body does not combine with the blood or the chemicals of the baby, because if it does, the immune system is going to attack that baby and you're going to have an automatic abortion. Well, the inhibitors, they cover that cell membrane just like that placenta does, and they put a shield. They put a shield on and around that receptor, inhibiting that entity, Thanos, from entering in and, let's see what I want to use another word for, inserting, deleting, tampering with, and in capturing, okay, that word will do, capturing your machinery and causing your machinery to reproduce it. Reproduce Thanos. And so then what are those things that inhibit? Now you're familiar with one of them, and that's that vitamin C, because remember the vitamin C, it covers and protects the cell membrane. It inhibits this Thanos that we're dealing with now. It inhibits it, preventing it from entering the cell membrane. Okay, I take vitamin C, so why did I still why was I still affected by this entity? You were still affected by the entity either because your immune system was low, your immune system, you eat in such a way until your immune system is not effective enough. You do not have enough white blood cells. You do not have, because remember, those are the soldiers. Those are those things that fight against this entity. Or you eat sugar. You've heard me say it before. And so then the ferrin, okay, cleavage. Remember we talked about that the sugar or the enriched flour that turns to sugar, the candy bars, the cookies, the pop, all of those things that are sugar products, well, that sugar goes around the back, even though the vitamin C complex, and you know I prefer a powder, but the vitamin C complex, not the genetically modified ascorbic acid or citric acid or emergency or the airborne, all of that, those kind of, they don't have the ability to do what you need done in this instance. You need vitamin C that has all of the complex, all of the components of the vitamin C, just like B complex. C is a complex. So then now you're taking these high doses of vitamin C, which is covering the cell and the receptor. But then you're turning around and you're eating cereal, enriched flour cereal with a couple of spoons of sugar on it in the morning, and a donut or a, what do you call them, other things with the hole in the middle that you put jelly and jam on. One of those things, you've loaded your body full of sugar, And then you took your vitamin C. Okay, well, you can forget that vitamin C because the sugar cut the cleavage in the back of the cell membrane, giving the entity a route of injury that is the part of the pathogenesis. And so then, or you popped your cup of coffee in the microwave because you went in, took a shower, all that, forgot and left your coffee sitting on the counter, and it got cold. So now you pop it in the microwave and you drink it, and that one cup of coffee, we have no idea how many white blood cells give their life for that cup of coffee. And so then we have totally depleted our white blood cell count, our immune system. And listen to me, I know some of you have heard this. You know what? I'm probably going to say this same scenario over and over again until you get it. Until you get it. Yes, I will add some things to it. I will add some things to it. Because there are other things I'm waiting to find out. And so now remember, I know you missed it. I know you missed it. If you will remember, I told you that one of the spike proteins on this entity that is in a population right now is HIV. It's an HIV, we're going to call it SP protein. And so then I just gave you a solution. Not 5 minutes ago, I just gave you a solution. That solution was selenium foods. Foods high in selenium. Well, why can't I go to the health food store and buy me some selenium and keep on doing what I'm doing and take my selenium and my vitamin C? They need enzymes. They're activated by the enzymes that are in your body. If you don't put enzymes in your body, then they will not be activated. They will go down the toilet into the sewer system. And so then, well, where do I get these enzymes? Do I go to the health food store and buy me enzymes? Okay, well, then that's going to be the same thing as you need. Well, let me put it this way. You need 7,000 every day. What health food store is going to sell you 7,000 enzymes? I'd like to know what that product is. And so that the only place that you're going to get the 7,000 enzymes that you need to carry out the 7,000 processes, and part of those processes is protecting you from this family called Thanos. Of course, you know this is the nickname. And so then that cleavage is opened in the back of that cell by that sugar that you had in that coffee, by that sugar that was in that donut. Oh my goodness, where is, I had something that I wanted to read to you. Okay, so then that means I have to do it Monday. It's telling you some common things that have sugar in them and how much. It is amazing how much sugar we eat on a daily basis. And this is why so many people are in the emergency room right now, overloaded in the hospitals. And so come on, you all. Let's, it cannot be business as usual. That ferrin cleavage, that ferrin cleavage cannot happen because if that cleavage is cut in that receptor, then you're going to be affected by, influenced by Thanos. Microwave, put it under the counter, or take it to the thrift store. I don't even want to say give it to someone, because you're in this day and time, you'll only be giving them something that can cause their death. And so we have to get serious. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, not because knowledge was not available, but because they refused it. Now this is what's happening. We're not doing all we should do to keep from catching Thanos. And then and we're being misguided. And so then when we catch it or re-catch it, now we're trying to take a little something. Okay, she said take vitamin C. Okay, she said take this. Okay, she take that. Okay, now you can't take a couple of thousand vitamin C a day, 3,000 vitamin C a day. No, you need that much an hour. You need to start popping at least 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every hour. And there have been instances where I have told people to take 1,000 milligrams every 15 minutes because it meant saving their lives. It meant that's what would repair the damage done to the DNA, and it would cause the body, the immune system, to start producing their number, replacing the number of white blood cells that had been destroyed. And then, yes, it will boost the fever, because the fever is what tells the body to produce the interferons, and the interferons stop the replication of the entity. And so we've got a lot of education to do pertaining to this entity that may be with us another year and a half. We've got to educate ourselves. It cannot be business as usual. We have to change our proclivities. It is our proclivities that is causing us to be sick and dying. And don't let me forget the number one thing, pride, that America needs to repent of. That is the most important thing, because God is looking for repentance. And so it is now 12:46. I am going to run down here and see if there are any questions. And I hope that I did not bore you. I hope that I said good. Thank you, Miss Wiley. Thank you so much. Let's see. You are welcome. You're welcome, Annette. You are welcome. Sully, I'm so glad to see you. And everyone, I'm not seeing any questions. If you think of something, you can always come back here. I know you are. I know, Robbie, I know you're sick of them. You know what? I'm sick of them too. But you know what? We can easily, if we only did follow the path that God has given us to prevent disease, sickness, maladies, all of these things, wherever there's a breakdown, there is a pathway that we turn. You know how you can be walking down the path? I'm a country girl. And so we took a lot of paths. You know, we took paths, the dirt roads, all of that kind of thing. And then you would come to a fork. And you had to make a decision which fork you're going to take. Well, there is a way that leads us to life. There is a way that God has given us everything that pertains to life and godliness. We do real good with the godliness. We do not do real good with the physical life. And so when we follow that pathway that God has set, it's real clear in Genesis. Today, Monday, I'm going to go over this again. I'm going to go over it again. Genesis 1:28, 29, and 30. In those three scriptures, God gave us the pattern, the manner in which he wants us to eat, and how we should eat, and all of that kind of thing. But he gave us instructions. And those instructions, they follow straight through all the way to Revelation. All we got to do is follow it. All we got to do is read it. All we got to do is follow the instructions. And then when we get to Revelation, boy, we got something even more exciting. That um, that adds to that. So it is be 1:45 in 1 minute, and I just wanted to get that little rant out. Let me see, sugar isn't so much. It is. It is, Annette. See, yeah. Nope. You cannot take vitamin C and eat sugar. Sugar will win every time. It's an antagonist, and it blocks. It damages the DNA. Sugar is involved in every kind of disease that we have, even Alzheimer's and dementia. So don't let me get started again, because this is this is my platform. I'll be ranting and raving, and you all will be on here for another 40 minutes. So bye. I'm getting ready to push the button. You all have a wonderful weekend. Go to church. Go to church. Not go to worship. Let me say it that way. Go to worship. Someone was at church with me Sunday, and they were saying how they loved the worship, how they loved the music, how they had never heard it like that before. But then they had to leave before the word. And so they were saying, well, isn't it the same thing? As I said, no, worship is what you give to God. The word is what he gives back to you. I said, if you miss one, you're going to miss the whole package. You're going to miss something. So don't miss something. Give God what's due him, his worship, and then receive what's due you from him. God bless you.